Right. Hello everyone, welcome to another video game review. Today we're reviewing Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So, not a brand new game, but also not super old. It came out like 2 years ago, so it's relatively new, but not brand new. Yeah, I've only played this game now, and that's why I'm making the review. Uh, yeah, I've waited a long time to play this game because I didn't have a PS5 at the time when it came out. And when I did get the PS5 eventually, I was interested in some other games that were coming out. And but eventually I got to playing this game, and I'm ready to give the review. So I'm gonna split this video into two parts, just like I did my Doom: The Dark Ages review. I'm gonna have a spoiler-free part at the beginning, and then a spoiler-full part at the end. And these two sections will be divided into 4 subsections concerning gameplay, visuals, story, and soundtrack. Yeah, so without further ado, let's just get into the spoiler-free part of the video. So, the gameplay you're seeing in the background right now is from Spider-Man 1. So no spoilers there, you can watch it safely if you haven't played Spider-Man 2. And let's get into the review. So, first the gameplay, I think is great. I mean, I love Marvel Spider-Man 1. It's probably one of my favorite games ever. I beat it numerous times because the gameplay is just that fun. And in Spider-Man 2, the core gameplay is pretty much still the same. Most of the stuff, all of the stuff practically from Spider-Man 1 is still here, with some additions. I'm not gonna spoil too much of what these additions are, but if you've seen the cover for the game, you'll know that in this game you don't just play as Peter, you also play as Miles, who has some unique powers of his own. Some, electricity related powers and stuff like that, which are really cool to use and pack a great punch. At first, when I started playing the game, I just wanted to play as Miles all the time since he was just so much stronger than Peter. But if you've seen the cover for the game, you also know that Peter eventually gets his hands on the symbiote, and his symbiote powers are very fun to use as well. So yeah, initially Peter does feel pretty underpowered, but then when he gets the symbiote, I'd say it kind of equalizes. But even without the symbiote, Peter's still fun to play. He just plays kind of very similar to how he did in Spider-Man 1, which is still super fun. Right? So that's pretty much it for the combat. I'm gonna explain a little bit more of the attacks maybe in the spoiler for part. Not sure if anyone wants to hear that, but we'll see. And yeah, about the traversal, it's still just as fun in the first game, with some new additions, of course. Mm, there's some new ways you can reach crazy speeds in this game. Like you can go way faster than you could in Spider-Man 1, which is crazy. But I don't even think that's the best change to traversal they introduced here. What I think is the best traversal change in Marvel Spider-Man 2 is the fast travel. In Spider-Man 1, fast travel was pretty stupid. I didn't really like using it because not only do you have to pick a certain spot, like there were only a few places where the fast travel could actually take you. You also had to wait for it to load, had to watch the cutscene of Peter in the subway, and it was pretty tedious. I just preferred web swinging everywhere because it was more fun. But here, the fast travel is crazy. You can just pick any place on the map, literally any spot you want, and the game will teleport you there instantly, which I was super impressed with. Is that just the power of the PS5 for you? And yeah, That's about that. I think fast travel, great. I used it all the time here. Super, super good, super fast. Mm, yeah, what else I was gonna say on this part? Oh yeah, I think the side quests are really nice in this game. When it comes to game length, it's pretty similar to Spider-Man 1, although a bit longer, I think, but both of these games are really long. So I didn't really see, I don't think it's that much longer than Spider-Man 1, but it felt a little bit longer. So maybe it's because it's just my first playthrough. But I think the side content is a big improvement over the first game. I did like collecting all of the stuff in Marvel Spider-Man 1, but not all of it had like a satisfying conclusion at the end. Remember, you had these Black Cat collectibles in the first game that would eventually lead you to solving the Black Cat thing, or you had Taskmaster challenges that would eventually have you fighting Taskmaster. So those were cool. But stuff like landmarks or backpacks didn't have any endings like that. They were just things you picked up along the way. Here, wow, collectibles are way more fun because all of them have this interesting like storyline that is solved at the very end when you get all of them. So I think it was way more fun running around collecting them all than the collectibles from the first game. And I think that's actually the biggest improvement it has over the first game is the side quests. Yeah, not all of them were good, of course, but that was also the case of Spider-Man 1. Like if we're talking extra side quests and not collectibles, then there were a few pretty bad ones, and but there were also some great ones. Some that I really enjoyed, which is pretty much just the case with Spider-Man 1 as well. Some side quests were fun, some were not. Overall, side content is better in Spider-Man 2 in my opinion. Okay, guess that about covers the gameplay part. There's one more thing about the gameplay which I of course forgot to mention, but I'll cut this into the original recording so that you guys won't be able to tell the difference. MJ sections are back. I those boring ass stealth MJ sections from the first game, yeah, they're back. And I mean, MJ has some like new things. I'm just gonna spoil it because this isn't like a meaningful spoiler or anything. But MJ has a gun now, not like a real gun, of course, because those are not family friendly. This is a very family friendly game with no killing. But yeah, MJ has a gun, like a stun gun, and she can just shoot things with it. So you could argue that the MG60s are more fun now, but also no one wants them. I don't know why they brought them back. I hated them in the first game, and I hate them just as much here, even though I can shoot things. While like I'm not sure if giving MJ a gun was supposed to make me like those sections or not, because sure she can shoot things, but Spider-Man can do even cooler things than that. So why make me play as a non-superpowered Spider-Man girlfriend when I could just be playing as her way cooler boyfriend who can do way cooler things? So yeah, I think the MJ sections are still trash. There's not that many of them, but they are kind of long. They do drag every time you have to play through them, which sucks. I think they should have just scrapped them. Yeah, MJ sucks. Now moving on to the visuals. As you can expect, since this is a PS5 game, the visuals are significantly improved. It's still the same old New York that you remember, but it looks so much more detailed. When you're like swinging across the city, it looks so much better than it did in the first game. It looks super good. And yeah, I don't really have much to say about that. It just looks really good. And there's also some new types of environments which we haven't seen in Spider-Man 1. So while for the most part it's just the same city but more detailed, there are also some brand new areas, locations, environments that we haven't seen in the first game that do look really impressive. And I'll get to what those environments are exactly in the spoilerful part because I probably should mention it here. It's a big spoiler, actually. Which environments I mean. Okay, moving on to the story. Now, this is going to be very brief in the spoiler-free part. I will peel it apart in the spoiler-full part because I think the story is the weakest point of the game. While the gameplay and like overall exploration, visuals, all that is great, I think what really sets this game kind of back is the story. And it's also the reason why I can't definitively say that I prefer this one over the first one. Mm, Initially, I thought this would just crush the first game, and in terms of gameplay, maybe it did, but definitely not in terms of the story. This story is, well, it's still good. I still enjoyed it, and it definitely had its moments, but as a whole, I didn't really like it that much, as much as I did in Spider-Man 1, which I think had a great story. Still flawed at some points, but definitely had fewer flaws than the story in Spider-Man 2. And I'll get into that in the spoilerful part. Yeah, because some of the things here I didn't think were very good. And I'll tell you exactly what they are in a second. The last point of the last subsection of this video that I've planned is the soundtrack. It's good. It has a lot of similar motifs from Spider-Man 1, while also introducing some new motifs. So yeah, it's really good, but not I'm adding it to my playlist level good. So it's not like I'll be listening to it while I'm doing stuff, but I still think it's a good soundtrack. Pretty much all I have to say on that. Okay, that's it for the spoiler-free part. Now let us move along to spoilerful. Okay, so spoiler-free part is over. Watch out, spoilers incoming. There's probably a warning on the screen right now. And if you don't want to see spoilers, then click off the video. If you do want to see spoilers, then continue watching because I'll get into the intricate details. Okay, probably seeing Spider-Man 2 gameplay right now. As I've said, you play as Peter and Miles has his own powers, while Peter gets the symbiote eventually. So two new sets of abilities that you haven't seen in Spider-Man 1, which I've already mentioned. And yeah, I think they're both really fun to use. The electric powers from Miles are super fun at the beginning. Before you get the symbiote for Peter, you just want to play Miles all the time because he just feels kind of underpowered compared to Miles. But then when you get the symbiote, it equalizes, and both characters are equally as good at destroying everything around them. I have this clip where I'm using the symbiote powers, probably playing it right now. It's probably what I'll do when I'm done recording this. So you can see that the symbiote really just wrecks house and has all of these cool finishers, enemies dying in 2 punches, just absolutely destroys everything. And that's fun. That's what video games are for, right? Completely destroying enemies. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say about the gameplay from a spoiler full part. I said all I needed to say in the spoiler-free part, I'm pretty sure. I guess I can just tell you what the traversal differences are. The main new thing in the second game is that you have a set of web wings, which you can use to glide around the place, and that's how you reach crazy speeds, like I've mentioned. Which, yeah, they're cool. I do use the web wings a lot, but I still think the fast travel is the highlight of the traversal in this game. But it's so crazy to me. When I just fast travel for the first time and it immediately teleported me to where I wanted to go, mind blown. Just actually mind blown. Anyway, I guess that's it for the gameplay part with spoilers. I've said everything I wanted to. I really want to get into the story, so excuse me if I've omitted something that I wanted to talk about. I really want to peel the story apart because I think it's not that good. Now, one more thing I want to mention, which I forgot about. Again, I'm so good at remembering the things I want to talk about for my reviews, where I start writing them down more often. So, yeah, bugs. I can't believe I forgot to mention them. This game has quite a lot of bugs, which I did not expect at all, because the first game had pretty much no bugs, and this one was just, well, there was nothing great game breaking. Nothing that would actually like stop you from progressing through the game, which is good. But these bugs range from amusing to mildly annoying. Like, I think the worst bug that I've encountered in this game is just how long it takes for calls to appear sometimes, and they were like kind of bugging out at times. If you played the first game, you know that main missions appear when, and not just main missions, side missions as well, appear when a character calls you and says, "Hey, Spider-Man, do this thing." And in the first game, these calls would come in at the perfect time, sometimes faster than I expected even, and you just be able to go to the mission when you want, even when you had these parts when Spider-Man was like, I better check what's going on in the city. Then you'd get a call like 10 seconds later, and you'll be like, oh, already? Here, sometimes these calls just don't come in. Sometimes you have to restart the checkpoint for the call to come in, or else you'll be locked out of completing a mission. It's a good thing that you can at least restart the checkpoints, because there was this one time where I collected all of a given collectible, and I wanted to see the conclusion to those collectibles. Mm. And it just wasn't loading. I wasn't getting the call that I was supposed to get, and that was really really scary, because I was like, no, 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 I need the platinum trophy. Don't make me restart the game. Luckily, restarting the checkpoint worked, but it's still really annoying. That happened, and it happened a few times actually, where the call was either bugged or just delayed a lot, which was bad. Then there was some pretty amusing bugs. Like I had this one bug, and I'll show you the clip, where an enemy just froze. Like, okay, froze is the wrong word, but the enemy was just kind of I go doing its idle animation. They still counted as a defeated enemy, but they were just constantly idle animating without like being like laying on the ground defeated, which was more amusing than annoying, obviously. And another funny bug is when he was talking to an NPC and he was like, that's probably my favorite. He was like weirdly moving his head around, like as if he was possessed. So you can see the clip right now. It was really funny. But yeah, I didn't expect bugs to appear in this game, because in Spider-Man 1 there were practically no bugs. Sometimes the enemies would do stupid things, but it wasn't as bad as here, which I don't like. Oh well. It doesn't ruin the game. It's just like I said, the bugs range from amusing to mildly annoying, so nothing actually game breaking happened. Okay, so let's talk about what I liked about the story. Mm, I think that Kraven was really cool. Kraven, the main villain, is awesome. Like, I love how badass he is. He just kicks the asses of all the supervillains that Pete struggled in the first game. Pete struggled with in the first game. Jesus, learn to speak. Uh, Pete struggled with in the first game. Mm, and that just makes him feel really threatening. I really love that. I love when a villain feels like a big deal. That's what a villain should feel like, and that's exactly the case with Kraven. He feels like he's out for blood and he's ready to just tear this whole city down. It's he's really cool. He's just really cool, really threatening, big deal. He kicks everyone's ass. Really cool villain, great villain. Mm, Pretty much the highlight of this game when it comes to story. But there were also some other moments which I think were good in this story. Like I think Miles is a great character. He just he's just such a good guy from top to bottom. He's just the real one. If you play the game, you know, you'll agree with me that Miles is the real one. He's the heart and soul of this game. Well, Peter is. Well, Peter's getting possessed by a symbiote, so you can imagine how that goes for him. Uh, for uh, for the second half of the game, he's like really mad at everyone and just lashing out, which I think was pretty well done. I think the angry Peter was was a pretty fun arc. Mhm. And the story also had some good moments, like I've said, and I went off track, obviously. What I wanted to say is that the story has some great moments, such as when Peter and Miles fought each other. I think that was the best scene in the game. It was really, really cool and really hit hard. Like I was like, "Come on, Miles, snap him out of it." It was I was on the edge of my seat during that fight. It was definitely the best part of the story, best scene. What else? I also liked the whole recurring theme that there was a recurring theme of is it more important to be Peter Parker slash Miles Morales or is it more important to be Spider-Man? And there are some cool moments around that theme, which I think is cool. I mean, it's a pretty standard kind of theme for superhero stories, especially Spider-Man ones, and I think it was executed pretty well here. Now, let's get into what I did not like about the story. Well, I think the worst character in this game is Harry Osborn. My god, he sucks. He is the ultimate non-character. I really just, for the whole story, I felt, I didn't feel for Harry at all. Like, he just felt so bland to me, like a total non-character, as I've mentioned. He's pretty much the equivalent to Doc Ock from the first game, where he's a friend of Peter, but then bad things happen and he succumbs to some inner demons and then eventually becomes a villain after the main villain is defeated. So yeah, very, very similar pattern to Otto. And I think Otto was so much better than Harry. I actually like felt it when Peter was fighting Otto at the end. It really hit hard, that fight. Like emotionally, that fight was very loaded. But with Harry, I didn't have that impression. Like in the very first moment he showed up, he uh, like when he first came to Pete's house, and then he and Pete went to the school. He literally committed a crime with Pete. Like they trespassed on the school's uh, what's it called premises, and he laughed about it. So I was immediately like, what the hell, this guy just committed a crime and he's laughing about it and he's supposed to be such a good friend and everything. And that's not it. Like later on when he finds out he has the symbiote, he just demolishes the whole office in the Emily May Foundation and laughs about it. Like that, okay, I know that you're not destroying the whole building, but still, man, you're just being really reckless and destroying everything around you that you were supposed to care about. And then when he joins Pete as when he in the mission in the foundry where Harry comes along with his new suit and he's helping Peter out, he's being super reckless as well. I really hated the fact that he was super reckless for the first part of the story. Like he felt like this bad influence on Peter for some reason, and it was like, okay, and I don't think this is what he's supposed to be. Like he's not Black Cat. I think he's supposed to be this bad influence that's like getting Peter on the he's turning Peter to a dark side or something. So I didn't like that, and it gets worse. Because then after Harry loses the symbiote, well, then he just completely doesn't, he just completely doesn't exist. Like, Peter talks to him a little bit. He just does nothing. Like, he basically doesn't exist, like I said. And when he gets the symbiote back and becomes Venom, then the really stupid stuff happens because not only does the symbiote somehow gain the ability to multiply itself at an extremely fast rate and cover the entire city. Okay, well, he covered the entire city in symbiotes because he had the power from the meteorite. Okay, but before he got the meteorite, he was still able to set up a few of these giant symbiote nests filled with people transformed into symbiotes, which I don't think it was explained how the symbiote did that. Like, when it was on Peter, it could give him some black tendrils that helped him out, but when it gets on Harry, suddenly it's able to multiply like this. I don't know how that happened. And also, when Harry becomes Venom, he just like he doesn't do anything. It's Venom who's controlling him, and it's Venom who's spreading all these symbiotes over the world. Uh, and that's kind of stupid because then Harry becomes a villain with no motivation. He's just being used by this evil alien who wants to eat the whole world, which is like the most boring motivation a villain can have. And Harry does nothing. So the final battle against Venom, well, as a spectacle, it might have been cooler than the Doc Ock fight from the first game, even though it kind of dragged. I felt like there were some spots where they could have and should have ended the fight, but I just kept going unnecessarily. So, well, as a spectacle, it might have been better. I don't think it had nearly as much of an emotional impact as the fight with Doc Ock. Like, Otto had the neural interface on him, sure, but it's not like it was replacing his brain. It just helped him. It just kind of helped him embrace the tendency that he already had, even without the interface. While Venom, like, he just does his thing. Harry does nothing. Harry just sits there and is like, okay, well, cool, do this. I don't think Harry's plan was to cover the whole world in symbiotes and turn them into monsters. Pretty sure that was just Venom's doing. So, yeah, like I said, it's not really an emotional fight because you're not fighting Harry, you're just fighting an alien who wants to eat the whole world. And I didn't feel anything at that time. Doc Ock fight was great, like in an emotional sense, way better than the Venom fight. So yeah, that's why I really dislike Harry. I think he's a complete non-character, bad villain, and yeah, already explained everything. And there's some other stupid things, like the second worst character in the game is obviously MJ. I can't stand her. In every piece of Spider-Man media, pretty much I hate MJ. The only interpretation which is even remotely tolerable is the one from the MCU. This MJ is just completely like she's so annoying. I hate her. She keeps getting herself into the most dangerous situations, and Peter's like, yeah, that's fine. And I know all this happened in Spider-Man 1, and there was this whole subplot where she was getting into dangerous places, and Peter was like, "You can't do these things," and then she was like, "No, Peter, I can take care of myself." And then at the end, they were like, "Oh yeah, we're partners now, so we'll be doing our own thing and like trusting each other and all that." Which I still think is super stupid because MG gets herself into the most dangerous situations, like the most dangerous places you can imagine, and only survives because of plot armor. You can't tell me that MJ is that good at sneaking around, that good at fighting things, that good at, like, she's that good at fighting enemies like these feral symbiotes that are just out for blood, or these hunters who are specifically trained to hunt down beasts and superpowered people. You can't tell me that MJ is somehow more capable at defending herself than those things and those people. All that keeps her alive is plot armor. which I hate. I hate MJ. I don't care about the relationship that was building with Rahel or Peter because I just can't stand MJ. I hate MJ. My God, she's the worst. Mm, so yeah, what else? I actually made a list of things so I don't forget any stupid stuff. And going back to the Harry thing, there was also one extremely stupid scene that I just read off the list I forgot about. It's when Harry is like getting worse, like his disease is like coming back, and he's walking around with the cane. And then Peter goes to Norman and is like, "Hey, how's the cure going?" And then Norman, for some reason, just goes like, "Oh, Peter, you're the best. You're such a. I'm so proud of who you've become." And Harry just so happens to overhear that with no context, which is the worst. I was actually stunned when I saw that scene. It was so stupid. It looked like some kind of dream that Harry would have, like a nightmare that, oh my God, my dad hates me or something like that. And it was so stupid. Like if that's all the motivation that Harry gets for being mad at Peter, then like, he's just. I have no words. I think that was definitely the dumbest scene in the game. I was actually just processing it for like a whole 10 minutes, going like, no, there's no way they actually did that. There's no way they did that. Ugh, it was so bad. And yeah. Okay, another thing about the story that I think was pretty stupid is the Black Cat mission. My God, that was just plot conveniences galore, that whole mission. Because, they have to get all the superpowered people away from the city because Kraven's trying to kill them all, and Black Cat is one of them. So, it just so happens, by pure chance, that she has a girlfriend that just so happens to be living far away, and, she and in that way, she just so happens to have a place to go away from the city. And she just so happens to come across a wand that can teleport her there, which is okay, also extremely convenient. And then when the mission is complete and she's like in Paris and all that, then it just so happens then that the free trial on the wand expires right then and there, so that Spider-Man can't use it uh, for his own benefit. I don't know. I think that was just like I feel like they pulled all of the stuff in that mission out of their asses. It was so unbelievably convenient that all of that happened. Like she just so happens to have a place to go outside of New York. She just so happens to find a wand that can take her there instantly, and it just so happens that the wand disappears when she's done using it. And also, if Doctor Strange and Wong are in the city, why the hell aren't they helping? if if Wong was in the city, then why wasn't he helping? The city was being overrun by symbiotes. Like it was literally turning into hell on Earth. And Doctor Strange and Wong were like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. I really dislike that mission. I think it was just a complete ass pull from the developers. And then the last thing I want to mention that I didn't like about the story is that the anti-venom thing is kind of well, the scene where the mission leading up to it is really cool, because I just really like Martin Lee. I've always liked him from the first game, and he's probably even cooler here. Mm, then the whole idea of the anti-venom kind of like I don't like it that much. I think the whole point of the symbiote is kind of defeated by the existence of the anti-venom thing, because the symbiote gives you power, but it makes you lose yourself. That's the whole point. If Peter can still like retain the power of the symbiote while not being under its control anymore, then that just kind of defeats the whole purpose of the symbiote, in my opinion. I know it's all done for the purpose of keeping symbiote abilities after Pete gets rid of the symbiote. I know that's why this whole thing even exists. But like narratively, I don't know. I really think it's just pretty stupid. Like it gets rid of consequences, which I don't like. Yeah, that's my rant. Oh, that felt good. I haven't ranted about about a bad story and okay, not a bad story, but a flawed story in a long time. So yeah, it was a good opportunity. All right, yeah, I actually messed up the order of these persons because I wanted to talk about the story so bad. Visuals are supposed to come in second place, but no, whatever. Let's do visuals now. So yeah, the visuals, like I said, were really good. The ones that I wanted to mention were when the city gets symbiotified. I think that looks really cool. It looks like in DMC5 when the Qliphoth is taking over the world. It looks really cool. And also, I think all the hunter bases are very nice looking, like all overgrown and like very secret and cloak and dagger, all this, uh, you know, hidden mystery base stuff. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it on the visuals. Yeah. And then the soundtrack. I don't need to put in some spoilers on the soundtrack. I just already said what I want to say about it. It's good. Not not as good, not good enough for me to actually put it on my playlist, but it's not bad either. Okay. Yeah, pretty sure that's it. Ranted about the story, mentioned the gameplay, did everything. Okay. So yeah, that's about it for the review. If anyone's watched this, thanks. Glad you I'm glad you were willing to listen to my stupid rants, and I'll see you all whenever I see you.